Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me and see me? You can write yes or no in the chat box at the bottom on your right. Okay, great. Okay, welcome Natalia, Jasmine, Claudia, welcome everybody. And okay, Angela as well. Right. Romina, hello, how are you? Okay, we are here today to talk about We Are Heroes, Macmillan's new series for primary school learners, all right? We are speaking about six levels for between 3 to 5 or 6 periods of English a week. And when we speak about this, 3 to 5, hello from Uruguay, okay, Jimena, welcome. When we speak about 3 to 5 or 6 periods of English a week, we also speak about needs. We also speak about specific characteristics, both in students and in teachers. As teachers, what do you need? What do you look for in the textbooks you choose? What do you want us to give you? No answers? Who would like to write something? Normally teachers write. Let's see, they are writing. Okay, I wait for you. Specific skills, engaging activities, communication, very good, yes, all right. All these concepts are very broad, all right. So I can tell you, and Griselda is now writing. Let's see, Griselda, I wait for you. Okay, right. And all these concepts are very broad. Interactive activities. Okay, yes, right. Basically, I will tell you to begin with that we aim at real world communication because these children will not be bilingual. This book does not aim at bilingual schools. We need grammar, we need vocabulary, we need to keep the children like hooked on to our lessons. We need to keep the children motivated, but we also need them to learn real English, the kind of English that they will use in real communication situations. So that is our major aim. Also, as educators, we already know that we have to cater for a lot of needs and we have to pay attention to a lot of other things. Things that are or that go together with, not instead of, together with the so-called traditional skills. Yes, we have to teach reading, writing, speaking, and listening, but we have to teach much more than that. We have to teach life skills, okay? We have to teach them how to interact, how to respect peers, how to work collaboratively, a lot of other extra things, okay? And very often teachers in this segment, correct me if I'm mistaken, also work in other schools. That is in one school in the morning or institute in the morning and another school in the afternoon and probably an institute in the evening. So actually we don't have a lot of time for planning and to create extremely original activities. We need everything in a book. Hi, Mariana from Uruguay, okay? People go on, right, joining us. Welcome, everybody. So another key characteristic that this book has, this series has, is the fact that it is both teacher and student friendly. Your students will be fascinated. They will love the characters. They will enjoy the stories. They will find that the activities are attainable, doable, because also one important characteristic in our reality is that we work with 30 or more students in a class, unless you work in an institute, and that reality is a little bit different. So, as I was telling you, we need to keep the students' attention and to keep them motivated, but at the same time, I need to feel confident. I need to feel that I've got everything I need right there. And if I don't have enough time for planning or for creating new things, the book is going to cater for that. All this is what We Are Heroes does. And before we start walking through the units, I would like to tell you why we have chosen this title, why We Are Heroes. The idea is not a superhero. Don't expect a superhero. There are no superheroes here. There are heroes in every classroom, and that is the main idea. The idea that every teacher and every student can become a hero through everyday actions in everyday situations. So the main aim is to make them feel they can do things. Avoid frustration. That's a key part. And this material comes in two books, let's say a student book and a workbook, which is in full color. And that is very important when we talk about motivation, all right? In the book, in the student's book, you're going to have a code that will give you access to the digital book, where you will have the audio and the animations and videos all embedded. So you will be able to project the book and zoom in and out. And the students will watch animated stories and videos, and you will be able to keep their attention heads up as the methodology goes. Also, although this is not exam oriented, we know that in many schools working 3 to 5 periods of English a week, they do sit for international exams or local exams. Perhaps not all of them, perhaps not all the students, perhaps not every year, but it is important to offer some kind of examination practice. So it does have international exams material as well, although it's not an exam-oriented series, okay? And another important, and I think it's a key selling point, we have a reality in Argentina. There are more and more children with special needs, children with learning difficulties, with specific learning difficulties that range from dyslexia to ADD or autism. And so we cannot possibly produce a book for each difficulty. We wouldn't sell them. We cannot write a parallel book. We cannot have a heroes or we are heroes book for special or specific needs. What we have to do when we think about inclusion is we have to try and make everybody work with everybody else, knowing that we as teachers find it pretty hard. So what have we done here? We have worked respecting Zen, special educational needs, as from the teacher's book and with downloadable material. And Houston, we have a problem. Let me check, please. Here we are. Okay. Can you all see the screen again? Yes, good. Okay. What we have done is in the teacher's book, we have included tips in each lesson, tips on how to deal with special needs. And when we speak about special needs, we speak about everything, because very often the basic part coincides. That is segmentation of tasks, fewer questions and fewer sentences, bigger fonts, all that coincides. So we have included in the teacher's book Zen tips. And we have uploaded in the downloadable materials section, we have uploaded what we call accommodations, special educational needs accommodations. Accommodations are almost similar activities, similar to the ones that you have in the book, but for children with special needs. That is, you will have on one sheet of paper, one activity with a bigger font, clearer pictures, simpler instructions, basically the same activity, but adapted for those children with specific needs. Also, this material, the teacher's book, is very rich, and you will have access to tests. The tests will be downloadable, and you will have 3 different tests per unit. You will have the core or basic test, a more challenging test, and a Zen test. Of course, you can have the Zen test for absolutely everybody, or you can have the core test and the Zen test only for some children. That is up to you. You will be able to download and print everything. Okay, up to here, any questions? Okay, thank you for your comment. Romina has the books and she likes them very much. Okay, great. No questions so far. Good. You know that at Macmillan, we really appreciate your contributions as teachers. And we very often, before launching a book, we ask teachers to, in a way, pilot the material or at least to go through the material and give us feedback. And these are some interesting comments, some interesting observations teachers from all parts of the country have made. A teacher said grammatical and functional language is modeled in dialogues, encouraging students to substitute words to create their own personalized dialogues. This is very important for everybody, with or without special needs. Children learn when you are speaking or when they are speaking about themselves. If you speak about something that is very, very distant, very, very far away, they just don't register it. So the methodology of the book is based on that. This is why it's fun and motivating. Another teacher said, I like the reading comprehension activities and the reading club. I like the material and the characters. The children love the characters. Students really love the pictures and the audio. The songs are really nice and easy to sing by us, because sometimes the songs are nice, but when we try to sing them, they are just too loud or difficult to follow. No, that won't happen, definitely. Now, I told you that we have 6 levels, and in those 6 years, you know, children grow up. And so the characters have to change. The settings have to change if we want to keep them motivated. So the setting changes every 2 levels. For levels 1 and 2, we speak about the Heroes Club, showing all the time this combination of fantastic characters, okay, invented, drawn characters, and the background is always a photograph, putting together fantasy and reality. That fantasy and reality, you will see it all the time in the book. Pictures and drawings and photos all the time. And of course, at this age, children need raps and songs and comics and stories and videos, and everything has to be short and sweet and dynamic and varied, okay? So all this, I guarantee you will have it. Levels 3 and 4, children are growing up, so we need characters who are their same age, and so we speak about a community center. So now the children are no longer in the Heroes Club, no longer in the school, let's say. They go out into the world. They go out into the neighborhood, their community, where they get in touch with adults, and together with adults, they solve community problems, or they try and do something to help somebody in the community. But it's this working together that will give us values, and through values, we will teach English. Levels 5 and 6. We are speaking about pre-teens already, so we go virtual, let's say. We have to bridge here the connection. We have to build a bridge connecting primary and secondary. So we have to start preparing children for this secondary school. And so we speak about Heroes Connect Club. That is, children from different countries are going to send us messages, are going to participate in this Hero Connect. This is going to be the digital component, let's say. They're going to upload messages where they will talk about the places, the cities where they live, their routines, the food they like, their traditions. And so through this Connect Club and through the people that participate in this club, they're going to learn using English. They're going to learn they're going to get factual information, and they're going to develop their language. So another important thing is that you know that Argentina is a very special country when it comes to reading and writing. That's an issue. We are in deep waters, I believe. Sometimes we get children who are in 2nd, even 3rd grade, and they find it hard to read and write. So when we bring material, books from the UK, very often we find that book number 1 is not suitable for 1st grade, because here they are just beginning to read and write. Very often they can't even recognize the letters. They can hardly associate the letter with the sound. of course, they will find English impossible, because we would have to teach them certain letter combinations that don't exist in Spanish, like WH. It would be impossible. And also the fact that they learn first block capitals, which again doesn't happen in other countries. So this material, We Are Heroes, has been adapted to suit our needs. This material in level 1, at the beginning, the first lessons, it has no written material, only the instructions, okay? No written words, no written grammar. As from in the last unit, the second half of the book, you will get just words together with some motor skills for the children to practice and to imitate. But the writing there is kept to a minimum to guarantee there's no frustration that I was talking to you about at the beginning of this talk. So what you can see now on the screen is Unit 3. That's great, says Jessica. Yes, it is. We have a very good team paying attention to all this. All the people working in the edition department at Macmillan pay a lot of attention to this and know exactly what teachers want. This is Unit 3 in book number 1, in level 1. As you can see, it's full of pictures. As you can see, you've got this combination of drawings and pictures or illustrations and photographs, or this combination of fantasy and reality. The instructions are kept very, very short and repetitive. And there is all the time recycling, because we know that in this type of school, 3 to 5 hours of English a week, very often there's a holiday in between, or in winter, children miss very often, they are absent, and when they come back, they just don't remember anything. So constant recycling is a must. And of course, they are exposed to an interesting number of vocabulary of words, that those words are going to be repeated and practiced in different contexts over and over again throughout the unit and in the units to come, so that I can guarantee that the children will learn the words, and you will see how and how many times they will repeat the words. They will learn the words, they will number the words, they will look for what they can hear, they will order the words, they will sing using those words, okay? So all the time repeating in different ways will guarantee that they do learn it and they do produce it. All the language they learn it for production. As we go on, normally in a classroom, in the lesson, I mean, you present the material, you practice a bit, and you go to the workbook. As I told you before, the workbook is full color, and you can see this, the sample material, okay? It's lesson 1 and lesson 2, and you see that we have paid a lot of attention to this. Whatever is practiced in the students is also practiced in the workbook, but through different activities. The activities are varied. They are all the time short. They are all the time doable, considering that we've got 30 children in class, okay? And considering that, we have also taken into account multiple intelligences and different learning styles and recycling and fine motor skills, all the time paying attention to your and your students' needs. Going back to the students' book, of course, you have stories. In all levels, we have a lot of reading material. In this case, because it's level 1 and this is level 3, you see that you begin to get some words. This is not all the story. The rest of the story, the complete story is on audio. Here you get the key things. In the middle of the book, the key grammar point for them to more or less read what they can. If not, they will do it orally. And at the end of the book, a little bit of grammar in the story plus some extra language, but never all the story. To focus on listening more than reading, because this is what they do in first grade, okay? If I go, yes. If I go on with in the student's book, you will find how the story is practiced. A story has to do with a sequence. Sequencing is essential because it's part of critical thinking. Very often we tell stories and we just think of the characters, or we just think about fun but it's much more than that. When we deal with a story, we are dealing with sequencing, and sequencing is the basis for mathematical thinking, actually, mathematical learning. When in primary school, children have to complete sequences like 2, 4, 6. How is it that they come to that 6? Or how is it that sometimes they don't realize that they have to say 6? Well, this is the key. Stories. This is why it's so important when you're a mother, when you're a grandmother, when you're an aunt, to tell children stories. Because when they have a sequence, the sequence equals order. And it's not the same to put the last part at the beginning. It would make sense. So that's the beginning of mathematical thinking. And of course, critical thinking as well. So we do pay attention to that. This is why in the first exercise there, you have to listen a number, putting the story in order. Then you have very short and doable, attainable pair work activities. And pair work is essential. Remember that I told you at the beginning we have to not just teach English, not just teach language, vocabulary and grammar basically, but much more. We have to teach children to feel confident. We have to teach children to take turns. We have to teach children to respect the other partner who maybe needs more time or who maybe cannot produce and help them. All that is done through pair work. Management, teachers management, group management is shown in pair work. So I know when you've got 30, you may say it's difficult. There are different ways of doing this. You may just do it pair by pair. You may have 2 or 3 pairs doing this at the front, or all the class working in pairs doing it simultaneously. What you must never do is omit it. And very often, because it's a challenge, many teachers omit this. Okay. Values are, yes, Romina is saying values are included in the activities. Values are a very important part, Romina, of the series. And Carol Reed is characterized by that. I think that you will see how values are, you will find values throughout the material. Then there comes a moment in all levels where the children have to go personal. They have to draw what they like or what they don't like. They have to draw their favorite part. They have to draw their family. They have to speak about something that happens to them. And personalization is great, it's essential, and it's a key to helping children with needs. Children with specific needs only pay attention to what happens to them. So going personal is essential. And I told you about the fact that the series offers different reading texts. And as teachers, we know that texts are essential. Of course, here they cannot read a lot, so the text is an audio text. But this is another story, what you can see on in the second part, on the second page, that is lesson 5. Living and working together. This is the life skills section. There is a page for life skills. There is a page in the workbook for life skills, because we are convinced, we are sure that there is much more than vocabulary and grammar, especially nowadays where we have so many examples of things that are failing in education. So perhaps life skills are more important than just grammar and vocabulary and language in general. So we have to teach them, because skills are to be taught. We are not born with skills. We are born with the capacity to learn skills. So life skills are to be taught and developed in the same way as we teach them reading and listening and writing and speaking, okay? So this is a story. The story shows adventures or situations that involve Mr. Rabbit and Squirrel, 2 very funny characters. And then the children have to reflect about that, about the life skill that we are dealing with. In this case, helping others. How do we help others at school? How do we help others at home? How do we help others in the community? Let's go on. As we go on in the book, well, we have story. This is the workbook, actually. We have the comprehension part in connection with the story we read before. We have acting out again, but before acting out, we have to trace and choose and think, critical thinking. And in connection with the life skills part, the life skills again are taken up in the workbook. This time they have to observe carefully, critical thinking, and they have to choose which student is helping and which student is not helping. And they are going to discuss this. At this level, in this segment, 3 to 5 periods of English a week, most probably we're going to discuss in Spanish, but it doesn't matter because here the focus is on life skills, what is right and what is wrong. The idea is that because you have it, yes, because you have it in every unit, because Griselda is saying, I love the idea of class posters, definitely. Because you have this in every unit, this may become like a classroom attitude or behavior code. So when there is somebody about to misbehave, you can say, do you remember what happened in the story? And linking, putting the book and our reality together. Okay, and again, you can see in the workbook, there's illustration and photographs, fantasy and reality. And something else that is very important, if you look at the bottom of both pages, it says finished and instructions, because every page in the workbook has got an activity. It takes the student to another page or to another activity that they can do if they have finished. The idea is to develop autonomous learning. The idea is to avoid this, Miss, I have finished, okay? So we try to pay attention to the fact that when we've got 30, most probably some are going to finish before and others will not. And 20 will be calling you or me at the same time. So this is a way of helping teachers and in a friendly way also, making it appealing for the students as well. Okay, so let's go on. As we go on, thumbing through the book, we find the second presentation of vocabulary. As you can see, the pages look different. They look lively. They look full of color. The children will not get bored. And I can assure you that when they look at a page like this, they will say, ay, mira qué lindo, ay, mira el perrito. When they say, look, it's because they are paying attention. So if you get that, then it becomes easier to start teaching. When students are not paying attention, when they say, oh, again, of course you have to struggle. But all that struggling here, you will not find it because everything is friendly. The second presentation of vocabulary, we have a visitor, okay, a visitor to the club, who shows us something, a very short dialogue or monologue that introduces the vocabulary, and then we present the vocabulary formally. As you can see in the second page, they have to observe and distinguish. It's not the full picture, but the legs or the paws, so they have to observe and think. Look for differences. Oh, this is not a duck. This must be a cat because it's got paws. All that happens here in the mind, okay? And then you have this activity number 2 that says, look, listen, draw. They have to draw, yes, but they have to draw a path. It's like a maze. Actually, this is map reading. So this is another skill, okay, that, yes, we use the language they've learned. Yes, we are practicing vocabulary, but at the same time, we are doing many, many other things. And these many, many other things go on in the workbook. You see, again, we are practicing animals, again, in the context of a farm, integrating with colors, but making students think, putting together everything. There is a lot of recycling in varied activities, catering for different types of learning, because, I mean, everybody learns in a different way. They've got their own timing, and we have to respect that while they have fun. I can assure you that children, your students, will not get tired, and that's quite a lot, okay? We go on, and towards the end, the idea is to revise and to put everything together, to sum up, to summarize. And so we come to the final stage, that is a kind of revision, and we call it show what you know. in a very student-friendly way. They have to use stickers, they have to circle doable, attainable for the 30 students. That's what we want, okay? And all the time transforming formats. That is, look at activity 2. They have seen the family members. They've got illustrations. They have to put the pictures in the right place. They can cut and stick, they can write, or they can draw, sorry, or they can just write the number. But what they have to do is think and interpret the family tree. So yes, they are not even using the language. They will use the language if they say number 1 is, but if they don't do that, they will have to think where each person goes. So you see that all the time they are doing much more than learning English. They will be playing without realizing that they will be playing. There's a video that we use to integrate everything, and eventually they have to watch the video again. They have to watch the video and do an activity, watch it again to check that they are right, giving everybody the opportunity to correct mistakes. And finally, the production part. We have presented, we have practiced. Now comes the production part where they have to show what they can do. This production part is like a small project. It's a small something that they produce and share. They produce and present using the language, integrating grammar and vocabulary, plus all the other skills. Feeling confident, feeling proud of your work. Perhaps somebody can draw well and somebody else cannot draw well but can speak well. Somebody maybe is good at, I don't know, making models instead of drawing. So each student will do what he or she can and the way he or she can, but everybody will be able to do something and show what they have done and how. So as you can see, it's productive. It can be more or less productive depending on you and each student. The important thing is that everybody will produce something. Of course, the ones who are good will produce more, but the ones who are not that good will be able to produce, and that is great, I can assure you. As I was telling you at the beginning, children grow, and so we have to reflect this in books. This is level 3. I told you that we changed the characters and the setting every 2 levels. So 1 and 2 have a similar setting, Heroes Club. Now this is level 3. Remember that Heroes 3 is, we are Heroes level 3 is the community center. We go out into the world, out into the neighborhood, into the community. So this is how a unit, or what a unit looks like. As you can see, the number of vocabulary items has grown. Now we've got more. We've got 10. So because children grow, we need more. But also the kind of vocabulary we teach is not the cat is on the table thing, okay? You know what I mean? It's much more practical. It's the kind of language that they will really need in real world situations. And this takes me to the Zen part, what I told you about the accommodations in the teacher's book. For example, there are many accommodations or many suggestions as regards how to present vocabulary like this, because children with difficulties will never be able to learn 10 words altogether. We have to segment, we have to categorize, like all the green food words together, or all the vegetable words together, all the fruit words together. There are different suggestions of how to deal with this section of the book. But as you can see, it's got much more written material. The characters look different so that the children identify themselves with the characters, okay? There is, after the presentation and the dialogue to do pair work, then somebody comes to the community center, and that gives us the opportunity to have a dialogue or a monologue that will contextualize the vocabulary. So now it's the vocabulary in a context. They will practice that, and they will practice again through songs. Songs that are easy to sing, are nice. They have got a lot of expressions, like in this case, you are buying because you need to buy and sell things. So can I have? No, I don't have today. I don't. So that's a typical language that you need when you go shopping. Each unit will have a project. The community center will have a project per unit. They will present the project and will develop. In this case, it's shopping. And you will work on food and shopping throughout the lesson. As we go on, we can see how that is practiced in the workbook. That again is full color, and you see how the activities very often use the same pictures, but the activities are never repeated. You've got the context, but this time they have to complete, they have to write words in order, they have to complete a menu. They eventually gradually come to the last part, that is creating and acting out, all the time with the fast finishers suggestion. And go on. Of course, I told you that you want stories. We want to give you stories. Children need stories, and children need a lot of exposure to reading texts because texts give them the opportunity to learn factual information and to develop a lot of academic skills and a lot of life skills as well. Well, this is a very interesting story. It's about a king who is very, very young. He's 12 years old. And Houston, we have a problem. The king only likes carrots. So he eats carrot cake, he has carrot ice cream, carrot soup. But his mom is very worried because he doesn't take varied food. And so the king has got a pet. He's got a parrot. And of course, parrots repeat. So when he says, I don't like French fries, the parrot says, the king doesn't like. So that's the opportunity and a very simple context to teach the third person singular. Eventually, the king gets up one day and finds out that he is all orange. At that moment, he realizes that his mom, knowledgeable, wise, experienced, was right. He should have eaten more varied food. So when the cook asks him what he would like to have for lunch, he says he wants everything. Fish and chips, hot dogs, and he begins to change his routine. So going back to values, you have respecting adults because they are more experienced, listening to your mom, but the mom insisted to a certain extent. The mom also respected his choice. The cook who asked him different roles, and eventually the value, the nutritional value in food. Okay, so all this to be discussed, all this together with the sequencing, the language, the reading comprehension, and each unit has got a story, but each story is a different genre. Okay, and of course the story contextualizes the grammar and vocabulary that you have seen, and also includes grammar that is to come in the next lesson. In the workbook, all this is practiced through different activities. Of course, you've got reading comprehension activities, but always very short. Pay attention to this, and this has a reason. We know that students don't like 10 sentences. They get distracted, they never finish, or you've got 2 that finish and the other 28 who don't finish. So we try to avoid this, and we try to make it concise, to the point. And again, critical thinking. They have to write the name of each of the dishes, let's say, and they have to circle the food that is not in the story, playing with negatives to make them think. Okay, that's very important. And then critical literacy, giving their opinion, what they like, what they don't like, if they agree, what else could they have done, who was right in the story. All this is developed throughout. Critical literacy. In some cases, they use English. In others, they use Spanish. Levels 1 and 2, because the children are very, very young, we don't focus on grammar. The grammar is general language that is used. Levels 3 and 4, yes, here we begin to focus on grammar. In fact, grammar begins to play a more important role. And you've got in exercise 1 a short dialogue between grammar boy and grammar girl. They all the time have a short conversation where they use a new grammar concept. And that grammar concept is systematized in a chart in exercise 3. But before that, we check understanding, the understanding of meaning. Because when we think about grammar, we very often focus on the formula. But it's not the formula. First comes the meaning. The child has to understand meaning and form. So first we check meaning visually through pictures, and then, yes, the formula. All this again is practiced in the workbook nicely, in a friendly way. And then we come to the next lesson, that is the life skills lesson. Life skills that are down to earth, everyday situations. In this case, children who want to make a cake, for example, or something, a fruit salad, and they decide to go shopping for the products they need. The point is that when they go, they start buying, but then they forget, or they buy 2 or 3 things and they forget all the rest. Topic for discussion. What can we do so as not to forget what we have to buy? Solution in the workbook. In the workbook, you have, wait a minute, loading. Okay, in the workbook, you have the solution. One alternative would be to make a list. So here you can see on the right, in the picture in the middle, the children have taken a list, and so they manage to buy everything. In this life skills section, you always have a problem situation that is solved in the workbook. Okay, as I was telling you before, the grammar is practiced visually in very, very short activities that are doable, and they avoid frustration all the time. The idea is that children should be able to do all this. And I told you about the importance of texts, and we believe that it is at this level, where children are in 3rd and 4th grade, that we have to start showing them authentic materials, giving them the idea that the English they are learning is used online, is used in newspapers, is used in magazines, is used in video games. So you're going to get a lot of interesting, colorful articles or pieces, texts that are not 100% original, are not 100% authentic, but we have made a point of making them look authentic, and all the time aiming at some kind of production. The children will create their own fruit salad, they will create their own dish and share. Okay, so a lot of texts, varied texts, and at the end, again, the show what you know and show what you can do, a revision of the grammar and vocabulary they have seen, watching a video for discussion, integrating everything, and producing something and sharing orally with the rest to develop your self-esteem, your autonomous learning, your production, your that question of being able to stand up and speak in public, feeling confident about the more or less, a lot or little English that you have learned. And just to show you briefly how the book grows together with the student, this is how level 5 resulted. This is a sample unit from level 5. As you can see, it's more vocabulary items, more text. Grammar now is Grammar Connect. Now it becomes a bigger, more solid part of the course, and more boxy if you want, because at this stage children can interpret boxes. It's more drilling, okay? And of course it has the same in the workbook, full color but with much more practice. Remember that at this stage maybe they sit for exams, or if they don't sit for international exams, we have their own exams in a more like looking or aiming at teenagers in a way, because they are pre-teenagers. So we want to focus more on grammar and vocabulary, and that difference. The texts in the book look different too. They look longer, with more information, with more factual information, not so much fantasy. The reading activities are more and a little bit longer, with more critical thinking, okay? And all the time making reference to this, heroes connect. Different heroes from different parts of the world connect and share information with us, okay? So we go on. We have a section that is integrated skills, where you have vocabulary and reading and listening, all the time aiming at this integration that now at this level or in these two levels becomes more evident. Up to Unit 4, this didn't seem to be integrated. It was, but unconsciously. Here we have a page for integrated skills. And a surprise, well, the writing section that now again becomes full page, very important, part by part, because it goes hand in hand with this that came before, sorry. Here they had to create something, write about it to make a presentation. Now the presentation is no longer a short dialogue. The presentation is no longer making a very simple board game or a poster and sharing it. Now you have to create, and you have to create something, a product, and create the advertisement for that, and write about it and present it. So this writing would be the last P, the last production part that goes together with the oral part, okay? Oral and written production, but as you can see, full page, now with clear and concrete paragraph development, which probably we will have to teach, because children don't come with all this. In the past they did. When we spoke about writing, they came with the idea of a stop, a capital letter, a paragraph. Now they don't. So all this is taught throughout the series. Okay? And now, yes, we come to the last slide and the surprise, because as we are launching this series, we want to invite you to use the series, of course, and to participate in a competition. It's the We Are Heroes Life Skills competition. It's a project competition. If you want to participate, this project competition will have 2 parts, and you will have to take part in the 2 parts. If you send just one project, you may participate, but you will not win. The winners there will be 2. The winners will have to participate in the 2 parts. The parts will correspond to the first term and the second term of the school year. In the first term, we want the project to be in connection with the life skills section of the books, the different levels. You can use any life skill that is worked on in the book in the level you are using, and you can make your students act out the stories that you have in the book with one or a few changes. Or you can make your students create a life skill story, and they have to act it out. You have to record the story that they are acting out, and you have to upload the video in a website that we will let you know in advance. This will be for the first term. For the second term, you will have to choose between an art gallery or a life skills song. The art gallery will be a video in which your students show the life skills that they have learned about in the school and or in the neighborhood. A video that may take any format. Maybe they just maybe they show a video and there is a narrator, or maybe they act out as they move along the neighborhood. You decide. Or the second option is the group creates a life skills song. They act it out, they dance, they sing and act, and you upload it. And then there will be different members of the jury. I will be one of them, but there will be many other people, and we will choose the winner and the runner-up, and you will have prizes for you. I tell you, it will not be books. It will be very interesting. A prize for the school, which will be books, and a prize for the students, for each of the students participating. So I think it's interesting. I think it's challenging. I think the series has got a lot of very interesting features. For me, the most important points are the fact that it's lively and very dynamic, the fact that it caters for everybody. I can assure you that everybody will learn and everybody will work. The students will be like playing without realizing they are learning. And basically, you will have the feeling that you are achieving things. The book will not be frustrating your students at any point. And that is really great when you have 30. That is not easy at all when you have 30. I think it's a very, very good series. If you have any doubts, if you want to see any of the levels, you can get in touch with your local rep, or you may contact Macmillan. You may write or use Instagram or Facebook, and we will very kindly go back to you. Okay? Any questions? Anything you would like to know about the series, or ask me, or share? Thank you, Jimena, for your words. Yes, what I have said, I think, is very important for the students and also for teachers, because if you feel safe, if you feel that the book is something that you can achieve, if you don't go crazy about planning or catering for things, then you feel more relaxed. And when we as teachers feel relaxed and feel that we've got everything ready, of course we have better results. When you have to start looking for photocopies to compensate for what the book lacks, then we have problems, especially when you have 30. So I think this is practical, this is friendly, teacher friendly and student friendly. It's got digital components that will not make you crazy because they are all very simple. I mean, it's a digital book that you can project, and it's got the videos and the audio material embedded there. You will be able to download different tests. So I think it's really ideal for this segment. Okay. So thank you for all your words. Any tips for an American college interested in levels 1 and 2? Okay. I cannot give you tips. What I can tell you is my personal experience. I use level 1 and level 2 in schools that after level 1 and level 2 go on using, for example, Story Central, which is American. There is another series that is very, very good for American schools, but for American schools that are bilingual, that is called Global Stage. Global Stage is fantastic, but it's for bilingual schools for more than 7 periods of English a week. And Global Stage is called Global because it's neither American nor British, or it's both actually, because it's global English. We haven't got a level 1 for first formers who cannot write for that material, because Global Stage 1 has got a lot of reading and writing. In fact, it's got a literacy book, so it's quite hard. So what we suggest is level 1, this book, which has been adapted for first formers. I honestly feel that the fact that it has been adapted for our reality is very, very important, much more than whether it's English, British English, or American English, especially nowadays when there's almost no such thing as British or American English. We speak about global English, and the kind of English we teachers learned in the past that was RP is no longer taught. Now we speak about standard English. So I mean, there are many things that have changed. In terms of grammar, yes, you're going to teach, for example, do you have? And in this book, maybe you have you got? However, doesn't it happen later on? I mean, there comes a moment when nobody says, I haven't got. There comes a moment when in secondary books you have, I don't have, whether it's British or American. So actually, we don't speak about that anymore. I think that if you like the series, you will have time to teach American words or American structures. I don't think that matters so much. Another thing is that very often we teach American English, but we are teachers of British English. But unless you have a special profesorado, that is another difficulty that we have. So it's a question of time. Children are like sponges. They can learn very easily. The differences between American English and British English don't represent a problem. So I think that if you like the book, that's much more important, especially at the beginning when children learn everything. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your kind words, and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your words.